is your ABC 10 News Streamline. Everything you need to know in 10 minutes or less. It is day 23 now of the government shutdown, and there's no progress on a funding deal yet. But there is some headway being made on President Trump's $300 million White House ballroom. Details of the project keep changing. First, the president said the East Wing would not be touched. Now, part of it is being torn down to make room for a 90,000 square foot ballroom. Sources tell ABC News the entire East Wing could be demolished by this weekend. The National Trust for Historic Preservation has criticized this project, saying the large building would, quote, overwhelm the actual White House. Even some members of the president's party say they have some concerns.
Talking about building a ballroom when we're trying to get the economy squared away, timing's bad.
The Trump administration says this project is being paid for by private donors. That list reportedly includes companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, and more.
There is a major break in the lure of heists this morning. Investigators say they found traces of DNA on a helmet and glove left behind by the thieves. Investigators are analyzing the evidence and hope this will lead to an ID. The thieves carried away several crown jewels of France, estimated to be worth more than $100 million. Questions have been swirling around the museum's security since the break-in. The director, you see her there, testified in front of the French Senate Wednesday, calling it a, quote, terrible failure, and even offering to resign, which was refused. The director is now looking at building a police station inside the museum. And over in Florida, authorities are describing a recent burglary as something out of Mission Impossible. The Martin County Sheriff says thieves cut through that mall roof to steal hundreds of pairs of sneakers from a Champs store. The sheriff says they got away with up to $50,000 worth of New Balances, Air Jordans, and other Nikes. Repairs on this roof is going to cost about $10,000.
The U.S. military carried out another airstrike on an alleged drug cartel boat. It's the second one this week in the Pacific Ocean. 5 people were killed in those 2 strikes. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth called the boat narco-terrorism. He said, quote, there will be no refuge or forgiveness, only justice. The military has now done 9 strikes on drug smuggling vessels since September. The previous 7 were in the Caribbean. Now it's moved to a different ocean. 37 people total have been killed.
An immigration operation turned chase in Bay Park left multiple people injured, including 3 federal officers. This happened on Dakota Drive near Whittier School yesterday afternoon. ICE tells us it was conducting a final deportation order for a man from Kuwait with a violent criminal history. ICE says the man rammed his vehicle into law enforcement while trying to escape. He hit multiple ICE officers before crashing into their vehicles.
The blue minivan looked like it had hit the vehicle, sideswiped it, and the truck hit, or the 2 vehicles hit it head on, and the collision was so hard that later on the ICE agent that was in the pickup truck that was driving had to be towed out of his truck. On a residential neighborhood that's a 25 mile per hour speed zone with the cul-de-sac and a daycare center.
The injured agents and the man from Kuwait were treated at a hospital. ICE says it is pursuing charges against the man for assault, as well as opposing, impeding, and resisting federal officers. San Diego police, they were on scene, but they said it was only for traffic control.
The chess world is reeling this morning after news that American Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky has died. He was just 29 years old, and now some fans say he was bullied. Naroditsky was one of the best players in the world, achieving the rank of Grandmaster at 18. He also had about 500,000 YouTube subscribers, but another top player, Vladimir Kramnik, recently began accusing Naroditsky of using computers to cheat at online chess. In his final online appearance, Naroditsky posted this.
The problem is, ever since the Kramnik stuff, I feel like if I start doing well, people assume the worst of intentions.
The World Chess Federation says it is considering disciplinary action against Kramnik for his public attacks. Kramnik says he is ready to provide all information required. U.S. beef prices are at a record high. Right now, ground chuck is almost 18% higher than it was last year. Sirloin is up 24%. President Trump says to drive down costs, he's planning on importing beef from Argentina. But some farmers warn that importing beef is not the answer.
To do everything we can to build our calf herd, build our beef numbers, and ultimately lower the price with domestic beef. I don't think we should be looking for new markets to purchase beef.
Now, farmers say they're also worried about safety concerns with foreign beef because it may have different standards. Temperatures are slowly starting to drop as we inch closer to the holidays. A lot of families are starting to reach for that thermostat to crank the heat. Before you do that, though, Scripps News Group's consumer reporter John Matarese shows what you can do now to keep those winter bills down.
Whether you heat your home with gas or electric, millions of Americans are expected to have higher heating bills this winter. But the good news is there are ways to keep that bill down while still keeping your home toasty.
Everything touchscreen, easy to use.
Jacob Reyes says his old furnace was an energy hog.
Every time the heater would turn on, it would just knock.
So he had this new energy efficient one installed. Nick Glace of Arlinghouse Heating and Air says there are cheaper ways to keep your heating costs from skyrocketing, starting with changing your air filter, usually every 3 months for $20 or less.
This one doesn't look too bad, yeah.
He says an annual tune-up, usually $75 to $100, is also essential.
We're going to check gas pressures on it, make sure that we've got good flow into the heat exchanger.
Mark Huffman with Consumer Affairs says keep cold air out by properly sealing doors and windows.
Over time, especially if they're older, they'll develop cracks, there'll be little gaps.
An energy audit with a utility or energy company can help identify where those gaps are. Another savings tip, buy yourself a programmable or smart thermostat for less than $100.
When you're asleep and you're at work, why keep the house heated at that same level?
And Huffman suggests asking your utility company about programs they offer to help you save. The National Energy Assistance Directors Association says home heating will cost nearly 8% more than last year, averaging $976. With a new furnace and new thermostat, Reyes is hopeful for lower bills.
We're very happy, very, very happy.
So you don't waste your money. John Matarese, Scripps News Group.
San Diego FC might be without one of its best players during the playoffs. According to The Athletic, star winger Chucky Lozano had what's being called a verbal altercation in the locker room. It's reportedly happened earlier this month after he was pulled from a game at halftime. SDFC's coach says they are dealing with the situation internally. He already missed last Saturday's game. Lozano was a club marquee signing in its inaugural season, but has missed some time with injuries. The first playoff game is on Sunday. Okay, maybe she was lost or I don't know, looking for a good rosé. Either way, that deer made a pretty big entrance to a Wisconsin wine store. The deer ran across a busy street before crashing through the window of the Lush Wine Bistro. The deer leapt over the bar and then back again and then found her way out through a patio door. Well, the deer didn't appear to be injured. And I guess I can't say the same for the wine bar. I don't think the deer even got the rosé either.
Michigan woman who won $100,000 from Powerball says she got the winning numbers from ChatGPT. 45-year-old Tammy Carvey asked the AI bot for a set of Powerball numbers and then played them on September 6th. When she checked her ticket, she saw that she got 4 numbers and the Powerball correctly. Carvey says she now plans to pay off her mortgage with the winnings.
From a young age, Mariah's life has been anything but normal.
I can be out for around 15 minutes before I start getting warning symptoms.
Mariah is allergic to the sun, diagnosed with a rare condition called EPP. And with any amount of exposure to the sun, she risks severe symptoms like swelling and pain, and those symptoms last for days. And no, sunscreen doesn't work.
Like, we would go to the beach as a family, but we'd go around 5 p.m. when the sun wasn't as strong and only stay for about 30 minutes before leaving again.
Diagnosed at 10 years old, it wasn't until May of this year, over a decade later, that a clinical trial has essentially fixed her allergy.
It was 50-50 chance whether I was going to be on placebo or the real drug, but I've definitely on the real drug because I'm able to be out in the sun for several hours now, which I could never do before.
But her story doesn't stop with her treatment.
Rare disease research is so important. I feel like it gets overlooked so often.
Mariah is graduating with her bachelor's in chemistry and is planning on going to grad school for biochemistry to join the same industry that changed her life.
My life has been changed so drastically in such a good way by this chemical research developing these medications. And I just think, I really want to be a part of that in the future and be that person who's working to develop those medications for other people.
Emily Coffey, ABC 10 News.
That's your ABC 10 News Streamline. Everything you need to know today in under 10 minutes.